Yo, what's up guys? It's your boy Nimbus here, and today we have a guide on flames, because I've been getting a lot of questions about flames and I thought I would just break it down into a video to make it easy for everyone to understand. So first and foremost, what are flames? Flames are another enhancement system you get access to in MapleStory, and essentially what flames are is they're pretty much just bonus stats you can get outside of potentials and stars that are on items. And so honestly, to keep it short for a lot of you guys, flames are something you really don't need to be worrying about too much if you are an early game player, but they are a still considerable source of power. I'd say a good flame can give you anywhere from 100 to 500,000 combat power, depending on your level and depending on all your stats and whatnot. But again, it is the least meso efficient way to get stronger. So between potentials, star forcing, and flames are definitely the last thing you want to be trying to min-max. But anyways, flames are still a good source of power in the early game if you understand it and you just don't spend too much on it. So let's get into it. So to kind of break down how we can even use flames here, I have Wacky Beans calculator, or Wacky Beans pulled up, and they do have a pretty sweet thing here for flames, and it kind of just explains everything here. So it does talk about the regular items, boss items, but essentially, just to break down how to use flames here, all you guys need to do is just take the flames that you find in your inventory and put them on a piece of item here, and it'll reroll the flames, right? So there are essentially 4 types of flames that we get access to here on Reboot, and they are as follows. We have the Crimson Flames, which resets bonus stats between tiers 1 to 4. I'll get to tiers in a second here. After that, we have the Resurrection Flames, which resets bonus stats between tiers 2 to 5, with a 1% chance of getting the highest tier result. So these are the premium flames, I guess. And then so the Black Resurrection Flames, which is essentially just a Rainbow Resurrection Flame, but instead of you just rolling randomly, you can decide which one you want to keep, like the before or the after. Very similar to the red cubes, if you guys have used those for cubing, right? And then so here are the like giga rare endgame flames that you get from events, and they're called the Abyssal Resurrection Flames. So first of all, they give you a higher rolling range, so you roll between tiers 3 to 5. On top of that, you have a 3% chance, which is 3 times more than the 1% chance, of rolling the highest possible flame. And then on top of that, you can also select between the befores and afters here, right? So I'm going to go over flame score in a minute, but let's just go to the flame calculator to kind of break down how the tiers work, right? So here are the different stats you can get on a flamed item, right? So if you are looking at just stats here, it goes all the way from tier 3, which is 33, and it goes all the way to tier 7, which is 77, right? If we're looking at all stat here, it can go from 3% all stat to 7% all stat. And then if we're looking at attack here, we can get anywhere from 64 to 218, which is on your weapons. If we're looking at mixed stats here, it goes anywhere from 18 to 42, right? And then so yeah, these are different stats you can get from flames. You can also get attack here, but I don't know where that number is exact. Oh, here. Yeah, sorry, weapon attack and magic attack. So it goes anywhere from +3 to +7 weapon or magic attack as a flat stat. And then so again, for your weapon, you can get like 218 weapon attack. You can get like 14% boss damage or 7% regular damage, right? These are insane stats you can get on your weapon. But these are like just different stats you guys can get. And yeah, let's go into actually like where you want to settle on flames as someone in the game. So here I have a flame score target breakdown, I guess, or like an infographic for flames, just so I can kind of give you guys an idea of how flames work. So first of all, there are 2 types of items when it comes to flames. There are flame advantaged items and non-flame advantaged items. So what does this mean? This means that certain items, predominantly items you get from bosses, such as, you know, your black bean marks, your CRAs, your pitch items, your Absols, Eternals, arcanes, these are all flame advantage items, and these are items you get from bosses, right? And then there are non-flame advantage items. These are items that still can be flamed, but the flames are usually a lot worse, sometimes even by like half of the amount of damage you can get from flames. And so non-flame advantage items, and some examples would be obviously Commercy and Golux pieces. These are non-flame advantage, which means you want to flame these last because you get the least bang for your buck, right? And so I don't know if you guys have heard before, but the way we determine how good a flame is by using something called flame score. And so the way you calculate a flame score is you essentially look at an item and you just add up all of the stats that are relative to your class, and you put it into this kind of like flame score formula that you can see here in the bottom right, and it kind of breaks down how much flame score an item has or how good it is, right? So just reading off here, one main stat is worth 1 flame score, 12 of any substat. So for any 12, for example, I'm a warrior, my main stat is strength, my secondary stat is dex. So for every 12 dex I get on my flamed item, it would be 1 flame score. For every line of attack or magic attack, depending on your class, that is 3 flame score. And for every percent of all stat, you will get 10 flame score, right? And so when we're rolling for items here, what we're looking for are these flame scores. So if you are an early game player and you're just throwing loose flames at everything that you get, I would say up until you have broken the basic boss accessory set and up until you are moving into arcanes, I would just settle my flames with pretty much anything that gives you 5% all stat, maybe a little bit more if you are feeling a little spicy with it. But in general, I would recommend just saving most of your flames until you are in your arcanes, because then you're in gear that you're going to have for a long time, right? So again, I would say just settle 5% all stat, maybe some main stat. And here is in this infographic, we even have a little bit of a early game settle all the way up to a late game settle here. And so if you do have items that are, for example, 130 level, then you'd want a flame score of like 95, and it would cost you about 1 bill. So all these early game settles are about 1 bill, give or take. And so again, 140, you'd be looking at 100 flame score, 160, so your Absols, your Twilight Smarks, your Stellate Earrings, Source of Suffering, all your 160 pitched, you'd be looking at 130 flames score, which would be about like 7.5 bill. Your level 200 items, so your Arcanes, your Dreamy Belt, your Commanding Force Earrings, these would be a 150 plus flame score, and that's again because these items you're going to be wearing for a long time. And then for your level 250 items, which is pretty much just Eternals right now, unless you get Giga Lucky and you get like the new Brilliant boss set, which is like Grandis, so you don't have to worry about that for now. You're going to be selling at 160 plus, which is a 9.3 billion average for the mid-game stuff, right? And so again, I would recommend just doing the early game settles all the way down until you are in your arcanes, and then you can start worrying about it. Maybe then you can start looking at, even flaming some of your CRA stuff, but I really wouldn't worry about it. When it comes to Golux stuff, once you are in your specifically superior Golux set, not your reinforced, then I would start looking at these good flames. So again, as you can see, because these items are not flame advantaged, you would be looking at a settle of 60 flame score, which is going to cost you an average of 7.3 billion. Now keep in mind, guys, these average costs are assuming you're buying the red flames from the shop, right? But if you guys look at any of the event shops, you'll see here that we are pretty much just showered in flames. So that is something you can keep in mind too, because me personally, I have gotten all of my flames, and I mean literally all of my flames from events, and a lot of them are at the mid-game settle point, right? And so if we look here at even a late game settle for any of these, the cheapest ones are like 30 billion flames, right? And so what does 30 billion what does 30 billion mesos mean in terms of difference? It's like less than a 10% increase in your flame score. And if we're already talking about it being like 300, 400,000, you're looking at an extra like what, 50,000 combat power, give or take, for these late game flames. And so this goes back to what I'm saying in the point where you don't really want to be going for these like giga juice flames on gear that gets replaced, especially because one, it's so expensive, and then on top of that, it's gonna get replaced, and the gains are super marginal, right? If we're talking about like a 50 or 100,000 combat power increase, for like 1 star beyond 17 on your arcanes, you're looking at like 1 million combat power most of the time, right? So it's just significantly more expensive to pursue these late game flames compared to pursuing more stars or pursuing like even 3 lines, right? So I would highly recommend that you guys, instead of worrying about flames, anything beyond like the mid game point on this infographic here, you focus more on your stars, you focus more on your potentials, right? Because if we're looking here at, like, for example, the arcanes, seeing a 162 plus flame score, which on this infographic is the late to end game flame settle or flame like point, right? It's 42 bill. What does 42 bill get you? 42 bill gets you, I think, two or three 22 starred CRA pieces, which is significantly more combat power, right? What else does it get you? It gets you a 3-lined emblem, right? It's just significantly more cost effective to go for flames last, which is why I highly recommend you guys don't worry about this. The only time I would even consider pushing endgame flames is when you are pretty much out of things to upgrade. All of your potentials are real 3-lined, except for maybe your emblem and secondary. I guess they're comparable, but even then, when you're going for these like late game flames on your gear, compared to going for like a 3-line attack on your emblem, like your mitras, right? The gains in damage are significantly more, right? And because it's significantly more, I highly recommend that you guys, again, don't really worry about these flames until significantly later on in the game when you are like pretty much out of upgrades to do, because at that point you're looking for every single like piece of damage you can get from anywhere. And so because of that, that's at the point where I would highly start recommending that you look at flames, but that's like extremely endgame, like you're out of gear. Even if you're in like the pitched Eternals waiting room, this money can be much better spent on trying to Star Force or 3-line these pitches, or trying to Star Force or 3-line these Eternals, right? So yeah, that's kind of how flames work. Again, if you're early game, just take the 5% all stat on these flame advantage items and chill on it. You can easily get all of your gear to these mid-game flame scores just by using the event shop stuff, and just focus on the star forcing and the potentials for now. Star forcing first, then potentials, and then after that look at flames when you are way later into the game. Alright, and if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I am finally back from my little YouTube vacation. Thank you, YouTube, for the ban. I will not use that video of the pufferfish eating carrots anymore. But yeah, I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to give you guys some more content. We are gunning for 2K subs, so every sub counts. And I do stream on Twitch Sunday to Thursday from 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time all the way till about reset or so. So yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video, and hopefully I catch you guys on stream. Peace out!
Ha! Got him! Got him!